So I'm coming into the home stretch now, there's no doubt about it. I crossed the border into New Mexico from Colorado today, and it's such a contrast to go from where I was this morning at 10,500 feet of elevation in the San Juan Mountains. And like a horse, I can feel the urge to rush towards the gate and to get home. But I'm going to try to take my time. I'm going to try to stretch it out because it feels really good to be back in the desert. I stopped in Cortez to take some pictures, and it kind of got me thinking about the cities that I've been rolling through on this trip. And a lot of times we pass through a lot of cities that really don't stand out in any significant way to us. And I think there's some reasons for that. A lot of the towns that we pass through are kind of nondescript. You might have some strip malls, gas station, a convenience store. Maybe that's it. What makes an attractive city? To me, what makes me feel like I could spend a little bit of time in a particular city? I think it's got to have an old downtown area with brick buildings that were built 100 years ago. That's something that stands out in my mind. Some kind of a coffee shop is a priority, maybe a bakery, a good restaurant, a bar, a grocery store. If there's some murals and artwork on some of the buildings, that always makes me feel good about the place I travel to, whether or not I like the artwork in particular. There was a place called the Retro Motel in Cortez. Of course I had to stop there, being a motel owner and a vintage motel owner at that. I'm always curious and intrigued and kind of delighted to see old motels that have that retro character. So I stopped there and took some pictures, and it's a pretty cool place. But they've done a nice job restoring it, and all their room numbers are years, like from the 50s or the 60s. And from what I understand, the furnishings in those rooms kind of reflect that year. I like old things that are tarnished and varnished with time, and I was thinking how cool it would be to travel around the country and work out deals with the owners of those properties and buy those old signs and take them back home and put them in our property and fix them up, or maybe don't even fix them up at all, but just sort of collect them. Then I was also thinking, there's a real beauty that they're there where they are, and they shouldn't really be disturbed. I think a lot of times in the world we live in, and within myself, we feel like we have to own something in order to feel good about it. And that's not the case at all. Sometimes I don't think we should feel like we have to own something. We should just appreciate it the way it is. And then of course there's modern establishments that sort of try to make themselves look retro and old. That doesn't really work for me. I prefer the old thing, even if it isn't fixed up and restored and it's just all beat to hell and by the side of the road. I even like old abandoned things. I gotta confess, I sort of have a interest and curiosity for exploring these old abandoned, dilapidated, broke down places on the side of the road, be it an old motel or a gas station or just a building on the side of the road that's about collapsed and all burned out and falling down. Sometimes I just like to stop and poke my head in there and explore, see what it was, see what it is, see what it might have been at one time. I've always been that way. I've always liked exploring these places by the side of the road that are just falling apart. Park my motorcycle and spend a few minutes walking around and poking through the rubble. But for me, it's just like a window into a part of the harshness of the desert and a reminder of the impermanence of things. Everything that we see around us today, all the modern buildings, convenience stores, etc., they all eventually end up like this one way or another. So I like to poke around in these kind of places and see what there is to see. And then from there, I was pretty much out of the Rocky Mountains and into the desert once again. And as I headed south, things got hotter, drier, flatter, a lot more desolation, a lot more space, riding through the Navajo Reservation. I can't imagine living out there. See some of these places off in the distance on the side of the road, and it's just a house with no trees, sitting out there in that open, wind-swept, sun beating down on it landscape. It's got to be a rugged, harsh life. You cook all summer, then you freeze in the winter. Who am I to say? I know they have their lives and their ways, and they find happiness just like anyone does anywhere. But those people have had a hard time, especially with this coronavirus. It's affected them as much or more as anyone else in this country. I'm in the home stretch. It's been a good ride. There's a little more left. I'm at a cool campground here. It's called El Morro, and it's south of Gallup, New Mexico. I was able to just pull my motorcycle in here and fill out the form, and there's no charge. I'm going to put my little registration here on the pole like they require. I'm going to follow the rules, and I don't mind doing that at all because this is a free campsite. That's just one of the cool things about taking a trip like this. I've only had to pay for a campsite maybe 4 or 5 times at the most. And I've been on the road like 24 days so far. But there's a lot of free camping out there if you know where to look. Even developed campgrounds like this one. No charge. You can stay here 14 nights for free. Just fill out the little form and put it on the post and you're good to go. I'm on this road out to Pie Town. The first time I heard about Pie Town was a few years back when I was riding these parts. I came across a backpacker going down one of these roads just like this. He was all by himself. Thought it was kind of odd. I stopped and talked to him and he said he spent the night in Pie Town. He just wanted to get a slice of pie. This is it, the legendary Pie Town. This place is pretty well known in the world of Continental Divide hiking and bicycling. A lot of those people come here because it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And it's got a reputation, and it serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can get food to go, and of course there's a lot of pies here. And it's a solid place. I would definitely recommend stopping by Pie Town if you're ever in this area. But this is Pie Town. You get hikers and bicyclists from all over the world here. I don't know how they've heard about this place, but a lot of them are sponsored, and their sponsors will buy them pies, and so they come here to collect, maybe have a meal, and then head out on their hike or their bike, because we're really close to the Continental Divide here. A really cool place to just chill out for the afternoon, get something to eat before heading south from here. So I'm going to go over to Kamado and then take some really nice paved roads south. And when I get to Apache, I'm going to get on the dirt and I'm going to come down the Bursum Road into Mogollon, which is kind of like an old ghost town. This is very likely one of the last really high mountain vistas I might have on this trip. We're kind of running out of mountains as I get closer to my home down in southern Arizona. We've basically left the Rocky Mountains behind, and the Sierra Madre Mountains down in Mexico haven't started yet. We're not going to go that far. And in between what mountains you do get, there's different ranges, the Sky Islands. And that's kind of what we have here. Looking down into New Mexico, and I believe that the town of Mogollon, it's like a little ghost town, should be down there somewhere. We can roll through there in a few minutes, hopefully, if we're on the right track, and then get out of the mountains, get back down on the main road, see what comes next. But I just wanted to stop here and show you guys this really awesome view up here. You can see for miles and miles. It's so beautiful. The temperatures are nice and cool right now, and I'm afraid all that is going to end real soon when we drop out of the mountains and get back down in the desert. But such as it is, it's been such a great trip, and I'm in the very home stretch right now. Yeah. Well, all right, you guys, I'm getting pretty close to home, so it's just about that time to call an end to this adventure. After 6,000 miles of riding and camping and cooking in the backcountry, I'm almost back to Arizona. I really want to thank you guys for watching this series of videos. Thanks for your support, your comments, and your encouragement along the way. It really means a lot to me. I hope that you've enjoyed them and maybe learned something along the way, and that it's encouraged you to take a trip like this of your own. I also really want to thank TOURATECH USA for their sponsorship of this program, this series. I've been using their products for over 20 years, and I'm really proud to represent them to the adventure motorcycle community. I also want to thank Climb Technical Gear, Butler Motorcycle Maps, Wolfman Luggage, and Woody's Wheelworks, all companies that I can strongly recommend. If you like this series of videos, stick around because I've got a lot more to come like this on this channel. So wherever you are, stay safe, ride well, and I'll see you down the road.